Footage of a young offender hooded and shackled inside the Dondale Detention Centre in the Northern Territory shocked Australia and prompted a royal commission. Tomorrow, its report will be handed down. One of the cases it looks at is that of Jake Roper. He was tear-gassed in Dondale's Behaviour Management Unit in 2014. The former Territory government described him as one of the worst, but Jake Roper now wants to show that young people can break out of the crime cycle. Jane Bardon caught up with him.
Have you had time out or not?
Yeah, but I've been stuck in there for how long?
And I just started swearing and going off, you know. I've been in it for too long. When am I going to get out of here?
After 16 days in virtual isolation, Jake Roper had had enough.
It was just wrong, you know, like, just had a toilet, a bed, like, you didn't even have a sink to wash your hands, so no running water at all. And it was just stinking hot.
It was bad. And no respect for them young people. Just using them like they were rubbish, you know?
In August 2014, the 14-year-old was being held in the Behaviour Management Unit at the Dondale Detention Centre. Egged on by the other boys there, he tried to break out.
Yeah, it just went everywhere, and like I couldn't even breathe. It blocked my nose. Had teary eyes and stuff like that.
They were subdued, shackled and hosed down.
And but for their actions, they may well have been in there to this day. The restraint chair, the spit hoods, the manacles, the shackles, all of those items of the regime, which are now symbols of Australian justice, would still be in operation.
Jake Roper recounted his experience inside Dondale at the Royal Commission into the Protection and Detention of Children.
I just had to tell him the truth, you know, what really happened behind the scenes, like, in my point of view, you know, like what I saw, what was going on in there.
I was so proud of him, you know, as a young Lagaro Warramunga man, you know, speaking up for his rights. And I'm so happy that he did it.
Jake Roper lived with his parents in Tennant Creek until he was 5. They struggled to care for him, so he went to Darwin to live with his grandmother. But his teenage years were difficult.
I went to school staying one time, and yeah, the teachers noticed straight away. And he got suspended for 1 month, and Mandela, she didn't like it because I was staying with her at the time.
The trouble escalated.
Breaking and in, like stealing money of people, and they go to draw money out of the bank, just snatch and run, and I don't know, it was just going wild, you know, just trying to get money to support our habits.
His criminal behaviour put him in Dondale on remand. A subsequent escape with 5 other boys landed them in the notorious Behaviour Management Unit.
He went off the rails and fell into the Northern Territory justice system, which was a monster. And instead of putting him back on his feet, which is what every place else does, it sucked him in, gobbled him up, treated him cruelly, and thankfully for everybody, and to my surprise, he's come out the other end almost unscarred, which is astonishing and a credit to him and his family that brought him up.
This is my auntie Becky.
Hello. Hello. Lovely to meet you. How are you doing?
Since his release, Jake Roper has lived with extended family in Tennant Creek, and for the past 2 years he's kept out of trouble.
I know I won't do anything wrong because there's too much family down here who like care about me, you know.
With the help of the local Indigenous Health Service, he's returned to school.
I've been working with him to support him in school, and he's also been playing for the YDU football team, the senior football team, so that's school where school attendance is linked to playing games.
I'm finishing off my year 12 here, but I'm thinking to come back and repeat next year to keep my grades up, but there's they're doing vet courses.
Yep.
That like helps us out to try and get a job.
What are some of the things that you're thinking you might like to do once you finish school?
Well, I'm thinking it'll be a ranger, and like, or if not, work out on an ad station.
I hope he one day, like to be, like do apprenticeship or something, and go to university and all that.
But his family want the justice system held to account.
Put those people behind bars, whoever did those things to them, and stay in jail,
Jake Roper hopes the Commission's report will ensure practices like isolation are replaced with rehabilitation programmes, both in detention and the community, to break the cycle of offending.
And the teenagers, not much for them to do around here, so they just get into the bad habits too, like smoking, drinking, and it's like a normal thing now, for the young fellas to get into that habit.
As a government, we are very committed to rolling out a reform agenda for the youth justice system, and we recognise that it has to be a whole of government response. We have already started that reform agenda over the last 12 months.
The departments that were responsible for all of this, whether it be corrections, youth detention, child protection, they are all completely incapable of acquitting their brief. And they can't be responsible for bringing home these recommendations because they will not do it. So I'm hoping that the recommendations will be policed and funded by the Commonwealth. The less involvement in the NT in many respects, the better.
I saw a lot of people break down, from being in there.
Jake Roper's detention experience still dogs him, but he's determined it won't define him.
I got a lot of things planned for my future, and I just don't want to go back on the same road that I've been on, Just want to try and leave everything behind me and put that stuff to the past and look towards the future.